What a day. You sensed he was going to steal the headlines. It is a goodbye for Sergio Aguero. Manchester City's all-time record goalscorer came off the bench against Everton. And guess what? He didn't just score once, he scored twice. And guess what as well? He started his Premier League career 10 years ago, coming off the bench at Swansea. Do you know what he did? He scored 2 that day as well. And he scored plenty in between. What a scenario for Sergio Aguero.
Sergio writes his own scripts. He always has since he's come to the Premier League. I mean, I think he's the best foreign striker we've ever seen in the Premier League. We have to say that as a goal scorer. I know.
Thierry Henry.
No, I think he's better than him. I mean, I stick by as a goal scorer, someone you've got to rely on in front of goal. I think Thierry was fantastic, but I think for me, he's a number one. He's the number 9 we've seen. You know, under different managers, he's been asked to play different ways, but you know, when he's come onto this pitch, we said to ourselves, we know he's going to score. We know he's going to score. He almost scores a hat-trick as well, but
Michael,
I mean,
what about
he just dances around him here, Michael, and then outside of his foot. You know, when you finish like that, he's not shaping with his left foot, so it's unpredictable. The goalkeeper cannot get set. He takes him by surprise, just bends it round to Pickford.
Yeah, the 2 finishes were just... It's so nice to finish like this, isn't it? You know, on a day where they weren't scruffy goals, just scoring would have been great.
Yeah.
But he actually produced 2 finishes of the absolute highest order. Brilliant in the air for someone so small. Timing right into the corner. The first goal was great as well. And what a feeling to finish, you know, on a high like that, lifting the trophy, scoring a couple of goals. He is an absolute legend.
Yeah, Manchester City's all-time record goal scorer, adding another 2 to the collection. 184 goals for one club. He's broken Wayne Rooney's record of the most Premier League goals for one club. I wouldn't have expected Tim Sherwood, ex-Spurs coach and captain, to say an Arsenal player was the best overseas striker we've seen. But numbers-wise, he is the highest-scoring non-Englishman.
Oh, he's a phenomenal finisher. You know, if he hadn't had... He's picked up a few injuries in recent times, and I don't think, you know, Pep Guardiola's played him as much as he could have as well, so I dread to think what numbers he could have got if he had stayed injury-free. But even so, those numbers are quite scary. You know, nearly 200 goals is unbelievable in anyone's language.
Incredible. I don't think the story's over. You know, we've got a Champions League final. I think he comes on with such sharpness. I think he nudges the manager. Pep never burns any bridges with any players. When he's finished with them, he's finished with them. He's obviously told him, your Premier League season, after this year, you move on. He would have wanted to stay at the football club. He's going to have to move to pastures new. But there's one huge game for this football club, and I wouldn't be surprised if he has a say in that game.
He's not going to start him, is he? But you have to... Well, I mean, listen, if you need a goal... I mean, forget Manchester City, for any team in the world, if you need a goal and you're a manager and you want to turn around and look at your subs bench, you're desperate that someone called Sergio Aguero is looking straight back at you in your eyes, because you know you've got a chance of scoring a goal if you bring him on. Yeah. What a wonderful position to be in. Pep Guardiola probably doesn't start him, as I say, but from the bench, he can turn any game.
Obviously, he's going to grab the headlines, and rightly so. But what about City as a whole? You keep talking about how relentless Pep Guardiola is. You talk about the Champions League final. He would have wanted momentum. When it didn't matter to go and produce a 5-0 scoreline against a team chasing Europe.
No, because it's in-house competition. They know they have to play well. To get in the manager's face, to say, I'm worthy of the position over him. Dogging that training ground every single day. They're on it. If they're not on it, the manager leaves them out. They drop their standards, he leaves them out. And they never get back in, because whoever's got the shirt earns the right to play. There's a huge game coming up. They were all fighting for their positions, and they all had to play well today.
This is probably why they're so different to a lot of other teams, because they have got that competition for places. Their second 11, we've sat here on this show and debated where their second 11 had finished in the league. I think we conclusively say that they'd probably finish in the top 4. You couldn't really name another team. I mean, look at Liverpool, let's say. You know, with their backup 11, I mean, it's nowhere near Manchester City. So other teams are really reliant on their starting 11, whereas Pep Guardiola uses his starting 11 as almost to keep the others on the leash as well, and he's got such good backup there. It's a phenomenal team, and you can't see them going anywhere for, you know, in the near future. They're the team to beat again next season.
And those lucky enough to have a ticket are being made to wait for the party. They should have been out and had the trophy presented to them by now, but that is the live scene at the Etihad as they await Pep Guardiola and those Manchester City players, and we understand that is going to be another 5 minutes before those players emerge in Manchester. to get their medals and to get their trophy for the third time in 4 seasons under Pep Guardiola.
Yeah, huge. But it's just, the manager is the best. Not manager, he's the best coach, in my opinion. I think Sir Alex Ferguson, is the best manager we've seen. But he manages a different way. Sir Alex Ferguson, Michael would know, he had 5 or 6 players in that dressing room, policed the dressing room for him, who knew how to play the Manchester United way. Pep does all that himself. He doesn't need players to do that. He wants to do it. He wants to teach them. He's the master on the training field. They all know their jobs. They all want to play for Man City because he plays on the front foot. They're attractive to watch and they win. And if you're a player, no matter what you think of your manager, you hear so many stories coming out of Man City. He's too intense. You know, he drives us mad. He does this. Pep's not there to be your friend. Pep's there to win you trophies at the end of your careers. They're all going to be rich men. But that guy, Pep Guardiola, is delivering them trophies year on, year out. And that is why he's the best, because as soon as the Champions League final finishes, he'll have 2 weeks where he switches his phone off. Then he's back to work pre-season and he is on them. And if they drop their standards, he might look elsewhere for different players. They will strengthen, but he will only strengthen with players and areas where he feels like there's a void, like with Sergio Aguero now. They're going to need another striker just in case he wants to try and win the Premier League with a striker. I mean, he's gone through the whole season by adapting and manoeuvring Gundogan, pushing Kevin De Bruyne forward. Raheem Sterling all of a sudden can't get a kick of the football because of the emergence of a superstar in Phil Foden. Zinchenko, another academy produce, he's been brilliant. He improves players. They might buy him for big money, but if they ever leave the football club, they're still of value because he continues to improve the player, the individual.
Yeah. And it's funny that what Tim says there, he's not there to be their friend. And the person that's in the headlines in a minute, Sergio Aguero, I don't think they're great friends. I think there's a little bit of needle between them. I think there might be words said once Aguero leaves, maybe on both sides. We'll wait and see. But I think he feels a little bit aggrieved that he's not played more in recent times, certainly in the last season or two. I think there's been opportunities to play him or bring him on. And whenever he plays him, he tends to bring him off as well. So I think there's a little bit of needle between the manager there. Now there'll be a lot of respect shown. I'm sure Pep Guardiola will talk in glowing terms. But let the dust settle, and I think there will be a little bit of needle between them in the coming weeks. But I don't mind that, and I think it gets the best out of players as well. You don't have to be the best friend of everybody. Players, player on player, and certainly player with manager, as long as you respect everyone and know that this is the best. Because at the end of the day, Sergio Aguero could be getting a Champions League medal round his neck as well in another week, and that will be not necessarily down to him. It'll be the rest of the players that have pulled their weight this season, and of course Pep Guardiola.
In terms of the greatness that you talked about there with Pep Guardiola and this team, how big is this game in Porto then for them to get a Champions League? I mean, Pep's not been in the final since his Barcelona days.
I think this is the one, and Pep's always talks it down, and we know how difficult it is to win a Premier League. To win 3 and 4 years is a tremendous achievement, and because it's so difficult. He said, you know, he's been to the Bundesliga. He's been in Spain. He knows how difficult it is to win the Premier League. They've managed to do it in so many occasions. The one what's missed them is the Champions League. So they've been building up to this. I think they play with a style now which suits the Champions League as well. I think they've adapted their style. They were counter-attacking team before. They got counter-attacked a lot. They're more secure. I think Diaz has made a huge difference to that. They play the fullbacks are going to step into midfield, so there's not that gaping hole where teams can counter them. They played against Chelsea, and Chelsea seem to have had their number. Thomas Tuchel's done a good job over them. But I'm not sure every time they've played Chelsea, they've played their strongest side. Their strongest side will turn up in the Champions League, and I think they win this football match. I really do. It is a huge relief for Chelsea to get into the top 4 today. So the job done. So it'll make that easier. So the pressure is off them a wee bit. But he will still want to win, Tuchel, in this game. But he knows his team and the referee, everything will have to go their way to beat the best team in the world. I think they're the best team in the world at the moment, Man City.
They are. But we all know that one game, anything can happen in one game. Chelsea are no mugs. They beat them twice in the last two games.
We will wait with interest, Michael, for the news on Mendy from Villa Park, who went off injured at half-time to be replaced by Kepa.
Exactly.
Weren't we? With his clean sheet record since he arrived.
Yeah, he's been a huge success. And you would say that Chelsea do rely on 4 or 5 players that you would not want to be out, and he's definitely one of them. Manchester City, Well, they didn't have the likes of Kevin De Bruyne playing against Chelsea in the last 2 appearances. So as Tim says, they'll be bringing their A-game, their best players into that final, and it'll be a fascinating encounter. But this man, Tuchel, and of course the likes of Werner, they've all had quite a hard game today. They're going to have a week now to prepare for probably the biggest game of their lives.
But relief is the word you've used, Tim, because the last thing he wanted was to go to Porto, not only needing to win the trophy, but to get into the Champions League by doing that way. At least that is secured now by the skin of their teeth.
Absolutely. When Thomas has come to the football club, when Frank Lampard left, the minimum requirement would have been to get to the Champions League next season. We have to be in the Champions League. This football club does. But a lot of other teams are chasing that goal as well, and there's a few who's missed out. I think to win a domestic trophy takes the heat off a bit, but for Chelsea Football Club, they have to finish in the top 4. Next year, he will be under pressure when he's still there to win. Sir Abramovich will be saying to him, we need to win. We need to start winning trophies. We're not here not to. It's an opportunity to win the Champions League. They've done it before. They can do it again. As Michael said, they've got the quality to do it. But I just think if everything is even, on the day, Man City have got the better players. Have they got the more hunger? From the outside, we think they have because they've won everything else, and this is the one what's missing. But Thomas Tuchel is a very talented manager, and he's got a talented group of players. So it's a 50-50 game. But if you ask me where I would be standing, I'll be on the Man City side. If I wanted to manage one team in this one-off game, it would be in the Man City dressing room, and I'd rather be Pep Guardiola.
Especially when you can turn around and see Sergio Aguero there. And as you say, individual players, they just, they all spring out, don't they? Phil Foden came off after an hour today. He's being sort of rested, but he's been brought off and wrapped in cotton wool. I mean, we're looking at Mason Mount, to be fair, at Chelsea, but I think if you're talking world-class talent, then I think Manchester City have got more players in their starting 11, and they are managed by an absolute genius as well.
On that Aguero debate, if that team sheet comes in and I'm Thomas Tuchel, I'm looking down straight away and see if Sergio Aguero's playing. If he's not playing, I'm relieved. Still now, looking from the outside, and we watch him and we watch what he can contribute, and we've seen him over the years, I think he's still a huge asset to that football club. And I would worry, if I was Thomas Tuchel, if Sergio Aguero, it's a Cinderella story every time the kid plays. I think he writes his own scripts, and I think this game is made for him. I'm not suggesting for one moment he starts, but I would be starting him. And if I was Tuchel, I wouldn't want to see him in the starting 11.
Yeah, what an embarrassment of riches to choose from. He literally has got 20 players, hasn't he? And, I mean, in all the big games this season, Pep's not gone with that sort of number 9 type role. So I don't think he's going to change now, despite the pressure, really, that Sergio's put on him. But no question about it, he's into his mind now. And if he needs a goal at any point during that game, then I think he's going to be coming on.
What about the expectation level, though? Because when the project started and when Pep was brought in, yes, domestic winners, and we're about to see another trophy presented, but the Champions League was the one, wasn't it? For them to take the next step globally. Yeah,
definitely. I mean, there's a gaping hole in the cabinet at the moment, and that's the Champions League. That's what Pep Guardiola will want. He's been building towards it, and I think Tim touched on it before as well. This team is much more set up now than it's ever been. They used to be a basketball team. They used to be so good, but you felt that they were a little bit flimsy against a good, solid, experienced European team. Now, they don't give you an inch. They're brilliant at the back. They've got a great goalkeeper. They just look like a well-oiled machine, and I can't really make a case for anybody else in club football being as good as them at the moment.